Hey Sweaty Buddies, it's Danny J, and today we're going to talk about measurements and why you need to ditch your scale. Okay, so first off, a scale is a great tool to measure how much gravity is pulling on you. That's really what weight is. It is still a great tool to track your progress, but sometimes it makes you just want to slam your head into the wall because it's not budging. And somehow in the back of your mind, you know things feel looser, or you think they do, but why isn't the scale moving? Well, this has a lot to do with a bunch of different things. Often, if you're doing resistance training, you're adding muscle, which is more dense, but you can actually be adding muscle and getting smaller, and the scale isn't going to change much. So I think that doing measurements on your own are one of the best ways to track your progress instead of just relying on the scale. In fact, you don't need to rely on the scale at all if you're tracking your measurements. So there's 3 main measurements we're going to go over, and then we'll do a couple extra. First, when you start to gain weight, usually you put it on in the middle. You're going to put it on in your stomach, your boobs, your butt, your thighs. The last places to gain are usually your arms, your legs, and your face. However, when you lose weight, most people will tend to notice your face is thinning out first, or your arms look thinner first. You're going to lose it from the outside in. So always the last to go is that stomach and the butt. I know. So first we're going to start with the chest measurement. The chest measurement actually measures your back fat, I guess you could say, as well as your chest. And often when we lose weight, girls, yep, you're going to lose some of the boobs. So the first thing for the chest measurement, you're going to get your measuring tape. And by the way, these are so cheap. I got this at Walmart in the sewing section for like $1.47. So less than 10 bucks, way cheaper than a scale, and you could throw it, you know, in a drawer and put it away. Okay, so you're going to wrap it around yourself. You basically want to go around like your bra strap, I guess. And you're going to put it over the biggest part of your chest, the widest part of your boobs here, and hold it in the middle. Now, what I like to do and tell my clients to do is take a deep breath and then breathe out and breathe normally. And that will kind of get you to relax and find out exactly where your measurement lies. So you're going to get it right there, write that number down. The next is going to be your waist. Now, the waist one can be a little tricky. Some people do it in a couple different places, and I'll tell you where I do it and why. Your natural waist is a little bit above your belly button. It's usually the smallest part of your waist. But when people have a lot more weight to lose, or if they have quite a bit in this area, sometimes there's a pouch hanging over and there's a little bit of rolls, and it's hard to find the smallest part of the waist. So what I like to choose is the belly button. Now, it might not be the smallest part, and you might not be excited about that measurement, but the important part is you're being consistent. Your belly button doesn't move, it stays right there. It doesn't go over here and over here. Where your stomach rolls might shift, your belly button's still going to be there. So I like to measure right at the belly button. Like I said, it might be a little bit a bigger number than your actual waist up here, which is fine. Nobody has to see these numbers. It's just for you, and it's about consistency. As long as you measure in the same spot, you can compare and make sure you're making progress. The third spot is the hips or the butt, okay? So you're going to take your measurement on the fattest part of your booty and your hips. Bring it all the way around and write that number down. You want to make sure you're not too high or too low. Just get it on the big chunky part of that bum. So those are the 3 major ones that you want to track. Now the other 2 are a little trickier sometimes to do your own. One is going to be your arm. A lot of women do hold weight in their upper arms. Hold your arm out. You can wrap it over, and then you can kind of flip that bottom up and touch it together. You can do a flexed one if you want to measure your muscles. Sometimes I do both. I'll do a relaxed and a flexed. But just holding your arm out is a good way, and you can measure just below your tricep and see that number pretty well. And then the last one is your thigh, and this one is so tricky because if your thighs are like mine, it's the skinniest right above the knee, and then it gets wider and the fattest part, and then it kind of gets a little bit smaller right at the top. So there's 2 ways I recommend doing this. One, you can bend your knee and just measure 6 inches and then take your measurement around that part, okay? The other way that I usually do is go almost to the top, not quite to the groin, but a few inches down. That's about the fattest part of my thigh. And I like to measure right there. It's also including this kind of saddlebag area for me, so I like to get that all in. and that's the spot I choose. If you kind of go randomly in the middle of the thigh, up or down an inch can make a big difference. So try to pick one spot either at the top or measure 6 inches up and then right there in the middle, so you know you're getting the same thing every time. Measurements are all about consistency, so it's really, the numbers don't matter, it just matters that you are tracking the same place and following through every time. So I've seen girls who say, oh, I've got my body fat pinched and it was 12%, and then I did the little hand thing where you hold it and it was 19, and then I went somewhere else and it was 21. What is it? Look, it doesn't matter what the number is, you just use the same tool. So if you're going to get pinched every time. If you're going to use the hand one, use the hand one every time, because you can only measure a tool against itself. Even if you do the calipers with one trainer and you go to another trainer, you're going to get a totally different number. So pick something that you can do consistently. I like this because you don't need a trainer, you don't need a machine, and you can get a really good idea. I would do measurements no more than once a week. I would say every 2 weeks would be a good gauge of if you're making progress. And if you're only losing a 1/4 inch, that's progress. So just remember, different parts of your body will lose at different rates. So you might lose a 1/4 inch off your arms and an inch off your waist and nothing off your hips, or some combination of those things. So don't freak out. Some people lose evenly all over. Some people lose all in one spot and then go on to the next spot and go on to the next spot. So you're going to learn your body the best way and also just not freak out about that scale so much. So good luck, and let me know other tools you might use instead of this one.